Welcome to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. Live from Studio C at media stations in Bohemia, New York.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. If you can't guess who's who, I'm the Music Man, and that is Lisa.
And I'm Lisa.
Over there. It looks like we're surrounded by a bunch of women tonight. I am. Thank you all very, very much. Lisa, I heard you're making meatballs.
I am.
In Michigan. What are you doing in Michigan?
Well, yes, it's Sunday. My last child, being my son, got married.
That's all. Congratulations to you. Good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, great stuff. We had a great wedding.
Everything good?
Everything went well. Perfect weather, no rain. Had a great tent, great temperatures.
Flawless,
it was perfect.
Right? The wedding was flawless.
Flawless, yes.
Excellent.
Exactly.
So the happy married couple are on their honeymoon now?
Yes, they went to Mackinac Island, which is an island up in northern Michigan.
Everybody goes
Lake
there. I hear it's the
Michigan.
hot spot now. Mackinac
It
Island.
is a nice Mackinac is a big hot spot. That it is. And you have to ferry to get out there.
Oh, that makes it even more of a hot spot.
Yes,
Exactly.
there's no vehicles out there, so they rented bikes for the time that they spent there.
Well, that's good. So they went to the island by boat, and then they rented bikes to get around and do whatever.
Yep.
Oh,
yes,
I hope it's not
right.
raining. I hope the weather stays good. So they can
we had
enjoy.
rain today, so
Yeah, actually,
the wedding's over. That's
outside
okay.
here on Long Island, I don't know about you two ladies because I think you're in Nassau County, but out here in Suffolk, it is dark. It is dark. Speaking about ladies, Irene Corina, Karen Isaac of Pulse Advocates, welcome to this evening's show.
Yeah, welcome. It's great to see you both.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Look at this. People are just standing. They're looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
Wow, how great. Eileen, since you are the president of Pulse Advocates, tell us a little about your history. Actually, you and I have been friends for a long time. You've been on the show. I don't know. I said to Lisa before, probably about 8, 9 times over the course of all the years since I've been doing this in the last 6 years. You've been on quite often, and I know your story, but let's tell it to everybody that we got a big listening crowd. And I made you aware of that. So we got a lot of followers and a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
Let them find out a little bit about Irene Corina, how you started this.
Thank you, Norman. Don't think I don't appreciate your friendship and your support all these years. It's
My pleasure.
You've been absolutely amazing as a friend, as a supporter, and Lisa, I'm so glad to be with you here. Pulse started. We're going on our 26th year. We started 25 years ago as a support group for survivors of medical injury. After the death of my son from a tonsillectomy, he bled to death following a tonsillectomy. I was really anxious that nobody wanted to know why he died or what I could have done different. And I believe that there were things that could have been done different if we talked about it. And through a support group, found many, many people that had unplanned outcomes in their medical care and had no place to share what they learned from their experience. So from then on, Pulse became an organization that encourages patients and their family members to talk about their experiences in the healthcare system and to use these experiences to make improvements and become part of the team throughout the healthcare system in many different areas. So in the late 90s, I started going to medical conferences and joined medical boards where I was listening to what healthcare providers were teaching each other. And then we were able to use that information to teach the public what they already knew. And that's the history. It's been 25 years
That's
of
crazy.
really not changing what we've been
let's
doing.
jump to Karen for a second. Karen, how did you get involved with Eileen and Pulse?
And so I am actually in Queens, New York.
Don't apologize. It's okay.
But I was a patient. I am a patient advocate, and I was a board member in various roles: chair, secretary, treasurer.
You are a board member, or you were a board?
Well, no,
You are.
With another organization, with the Senior Umbrella Network. If I'm sure everybody's heard of that. So,
Mhm.
and I saw Eileen speak, and so Eileen said, "Well, I have this organization, but we don't allow anybody to be involved with the organization on a referral for referrals or on the board unless they've taken our training." So it was a little bit difficult to do the trainings that were out on Long Island, but she finally said she was going to do them for 2 days on weekend. And so I took the course, and I immediately saw that this was, something so different than what we learned as providers, and that I really wanted to be involved in working directly with the patients and with their families so that they could learn how to navigate the system.
And it's a tough system to get through at times. I have a medical history myself. I'm a radiation therapist, diagnostic X-ray tech. So some of the stories you've probably shared with one another from others, I could probably concur of certain things happening out there. So,
Eileen, you mentioned that Pulse has been around now. It's 25 years, and it seems like just yesterday you started it. I mean, it's crazy, but you have taken this internationally. So I remember a story that one of our mutual friends told at a network meeting, that they were on safari and they ran into, you're smiling, they're on, you were in Africa, okay, and people knew who you were in Africa. There was like Linda ran into people that knew of you.
Yeah, Nurses Association from another state were with
Crazy.
on the same safari as her. And when she spoke about the organization, they said, "Oh, we've heard her speak. We know who that is." So, yeah, that's one of many stories like that, which is flattering. If it's making an impact,
And I guess it
it's
made an
wonderful.
impact. I mean, you're nationwide.
Yeah, and especially since COVID, we do a lot of our advocacy work on Zoom. A lot of
um,
what we do is you could talk to doctors on the telephone, and you can talk to the patient and their family on the phone and on Zoom and meet with them. So, there was a time where I would go running into the hospital. I'd love to go into the hospital because that's where the problems are at the bedside. They're not in the boardroom
mhm.
where the decisions are made, they're at the bedside.
Well, how do you
And
get in?
that's
How
where
do you
I
get
learned.
into the bedside again to see patients you don't know, or do
Well, I
you
have to
have
be
to?
invited. I would never go if I wasn't invited by the patient or their family.
Okay.
So that goes without saying that I don't intrude. I don't feel that I'm unwelcome. I'm there because I was asked to come for a reason. And I'm there because I'm there to, usually it's a communication problem that happens between patients and the healthcare team. There's some breakdown in communication, or
Mhm.
they could be problems with relationships between the patient, the family,
Right.
and the healthcare team. And if I could break down that barrier of understanding and communication, then usually we can move forward on the care for the patient the way they expect it and need it.
Karen, do you have another business besides being on the board of Pulse?
Yeah, well, my business is as a private professional patient advocate. So
Okay.
I work um, there are so many parts to the healthcare system that nobody could do everything for
So what parts
everybody.
do you do?
So I find ways for aging icons to continue their life's passion in the face of a healthcare um, issue. So that is my particular niche are people who have the means to talk to me. I don't work with Alzheimer's patients. I don't work with people in the nursing homes, although I, have been to the nursing home if that's where it ends
Why
up.
don't why
But
don't you work with those kind of people?
well, because no one can do everything for everybody, and we really have to be so involved. I'm involved personally in person
Right.
with the patient, going in to see what's going on. My role is really a lifestyle role. lifestyle position because I'm not a nurse, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a licensed practitioner of any type. My background was I was doing marketing and setup, development of doctors' offices. I started a physician-owned HMO, so I have all the different pieces that I've done that I was doing for over 40 years. And then 9/11 happened, and my office was at the World Trade Center too. So I
Ah,
moved to Florida for a little while. I took training from Medicare. Became a spokesperson for Medicare. And then people were coming in and saying, can you help me to write my checks? Can you take me to the doctor?
wow.
Well, how
Problems
did
that
you
they
meet Eileen?
So when I came back from New York cleared up, and we were able to come back into the area, and somebody told me about this organization, Senior Umbrella Network, which is every different type of professional.
Mm-hmm.
And Eileen was one of the spokesperson. We would have a spokesperson a speaker every month, and Eileen was one of the speakers, and she was the only one who was coming from the patient side. So
And she
Ah,
I
comes.
knew I wanted to be.
I didn't know that story.
no.
I didn't remember that until you
Ah.
brought it up.
So, do you have an interesting story that you'd like to share with our audience?
Who are you asking?
Karen.
Okay, so I have thousands of stories, and I guess to one of my favorite stories is about a mayor. He was a mayor who had um, his he had a stroke, and his trophy wife immediately took off. His family thought that he was hard of hearing, and he was divorced. So his children from his first marriage didn't want to help him at all. But they knew that they wanted to have his money. So what I do is get involved with people on their legal issues, financial issues, and medical issues. So one of the first things I had to do was to get an accurate diagnosis. And I found that he wasn't hard of hearing at all. He had,
He just didn't want to talk to his trophy wife.
he had what, he had
I
what
suffer
Bruce
from
Willis
that sometimes at home also.
Oh, Norman.
he had what Bruce Willis has. He had aphasia, is
Ah,
that he could only hear 3 words at a time. You could have a whole sentence, but he only heard the first 3 words, and then he didn't get the rest of the sentence.
wow.
That's crazy.
So then I was, first of all, discussed the fact that his power of attorney and his healthcare proxy had been, after his wife had left, it was his wife. And then because his wife didn't want to have anything to do with it, he was assuming, or reaching out to his daughter. But they really didn't want to have anything to do with him either, other than the money. And they didn't have the same ideas for him because he wanted to continue to work. He was somebody who had built up the condo laws. He had done so many things in his life, and physically he still felt fine, and he wanted to keep doing things. And that's why I say I could help Bruce Willis right now. So
Interesting.
we had to bring
Let's
in
push
law.
this story a little bit because I'm going to get back to talking about Poe. Now, you got a book that's coming out too, right?
Yes. So this is a collaboration book, Never Give Up.
And what's it about?
And so it's a collaboration of stories from people who decided that they want to persevere regardless. And so in my chapter, I talk about my background and just how I got into the business and went through continuing to search for how we could improve the healthcare system. That was always my goal. I knew that I
Nice.
didn't know how to do that, but by the end of my chapter, I say found my purpose in working with Pulse.
Awesome.
All right.
And Eileen, off to you with the question. What is an interesting story that you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh, I have a lot of stories like, similar to the frustration of a young man who, well, they get to be long stories also, but I guess the fact that I could block a doctor from leaving a room, a patient's room. I'm not a little wallflower that I could have a doctor stay and talk to the family, or a healthcare social worker came in to speak to someone who was homeless, and she asked me to step outside to talk to her, and I refused to do that because I'm not there to talk for the patient. I'm there for them to talk to the patient. A young man whose mother was on oxygen, and they were going to remove the oxygen because he did not want his mother on oxygen, and felt the mask was very uncomfortable. So the doctor said, "Okay, we'll remove it." And I asked the doctor, does this mean that the woman's going to die? And the doctor said yes. And the son didn't realize that. So it was very concerning that now they didn't tell the son. They were going to remove the mother from oxygen. The mother would die. She was unconscious already. Now they at least had the chance to call the family in. So this woman would have died, and nobody would have known it.
So how much longer did the woman live because of what
that
you
evening,
did?
I was there till around noon, and by that evening, the family got there, and I think she died that morning, the next morning.
But at least the family was there.
Right, the family all came in. So, and he was a young man, very young. I don't think he was in his 20s yet. I think he was, he was very young. But this is the type of thing that happens at the bedside, that so much is misunderstanding, and patients need to know and be responsible for their own care. We have a program now, the Take Charge campaign, that's 5 steps to safer healthcare.
What are tell us about that? I know about it, but the people listening have no clue.
I think it's really important because the whole idea of 5 steps came when I was with somebody at her bedside. She's about to go for surgery, and the nurse asked the woman her medications, and she said, "Oh, don't you know them?" And I was really, really angry that why didn't I have this woman better prepared, I should have been carrying her list of medications, because we're always expecting the healthcare providers to get it right 100% of the time, and they're not going to. But yet, if the wrong medication or a wrong diagnosis happens, we're very quick to blame, but yet we're not taking on responsibility as we should as patients and our family members. So the Take Charge gives 5 steps that we want people to take on. TakeCharge.care is that website. And if people
Could you repeat that again? It's called what?
What was that?
The email address or the website address.
TakeCharge.care is the website for Take Charge campaign. TakeCharge.care.
Okay.
And it's on the Pulse website also.
Got it.
Pulse Center for Patient Safety.org is the Pulse website, and it's on there under our programs. But it really means that we need to be more responsible, and that's what, in 25 years I've learned, that I compare it to going onto an airplane and they give us all these warnings as if the plane's going to crash, and that life raft that life preserver under our seat's going to save us in 35,000 feet, but they give us all these warnings about how to use the seatbelt. There's nothing when we go into the hospital. There's no warnings. There's no preparation when we go in and become a patient. And we have to start preparing people to enter the healthcare system, not just be brought in and say, "Here I am, take care of me, make me better."
No, I've attended over the years a couple of your meetings. I've spoken at 1 or 2 of the meetings, and you have explained to me, and I did something about it years ago, about certain papers that should be in one's possession at all times, and even for their teenagers and their kids that are going off to school. You want to jump into that? Because I believe you know what I'm talking about.
Sure. The healthcare proxy form is a form that at 18 years and older, everyone should have this form filled out, because if you cannot speak for yourself, who's going to speak for you? And that could be temporary. It's not about end of life. A lot of people don't want to fill out a healthcare proxy because they think it's about dying, and it's not. It's about living. It's about coming out of, when you're better and you can speak for yourself. So if a child goes away to college, gets drunk, is unconscious, and brought into the hospital, their parents really don't have a right to start making decisions for them, and the healthcare team does not have to answer to the parents, because it's not, if the form is not filled out and in their wallet and on their person at all times. We need to have those forms filled out, and you don't need a lawyer for that. And the reason it's so important and part of Take Charge is that if you go into the doctor's office or you go into the hospital, it's going to be in the admission packet. And that's not the time to start making decisions about how you want to be treated. If you don't want experimental medications, if you don't want tubes or to be intubated. And we saw during COVID how many people could not speak for themselves because they were intubated. That was proof right there that we needed somebody to speak for us, ready to speak for us.
I remember when you were discussing this particular topic, and you were showing us a piece of paper, and it was 8.5 by 11. So I said to you, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to fold this up, stick it in my wallet. My wallet's thick enough, what it's supposed to be. So Norman, being Norman, took that piece of paper. I went to Staples. I shrunk the paper 8.5 by 11. It's now like 2 by 4. I don't know if anybody could see this. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
All right.
Perfectly.
2 by 4, and that's it. I had the plastic put over it, and you and I, we laugh about it, but a lot of people, oh my God, what a great idea. So anybody who's out there, no excuses anymore. You can make this. Take it to Staples. They'll cut it down for you. They'll shrink it, put it in a piece of plastic. It could save your life or somebody in your family. So
you also, you can get those online in case of emergency cards. We also have some that we give out for free. But also, I tell people to wrap your insurance card with it, because they're not looking for that other piece of paper. They're looking for your insurance card when they come with the ambulance. And so if you're wrapped it up, they're going to take it open, and then they have that information right there.
That's good stuff.
Perfect.
You filled out these papers, Eileen. You filled them out so many times, and they've always had so much information on them. And then when you sent this back to me, I don't know if anyone can see this. It's a good thing that I remember everything that we would talk about in the past.
Right, I did paperwork.
She says, I can't be bothered. You know what I do here. Just take the paper and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, why are you in the profession that you're in? I have an answer right here.
Well, here's the answer.
Should I give it?
Because it needs to be done. This was the answer. It was
of course.
6 words.
Yeah.
It needs to be done.
I will tell you that the very difficult part of what we do is that I don't believe there's anybody else doing it. And we have to be able to measure our outcomes to get funded, to get recognized. And it's very hard to do because we're not paid, we're not staffed, we're volunteers. And it makes it very frustrating and difficult to be able to prove the need of what we do when we all know what we do is needed. And we want to be able to find people who will say, yes, what we do is important and it's helped them.
Okay, so somebody that's listening to tonight's show and wants more information and to get in touch with you, how do they reach you? What's the phone number that people should call?
The phone number is 516-579-4711. It's 516, Long Island area code, 516-579-4711. And if it's urgent, my cell phone number's on there. They could send a text where I'll get back to them even faster.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Stuff. Now, I was very unfortunate in 2018 to get what the doctor said, deathly sick. And I was told 3 to 4 days, and that was it. But luckily, I have a wife that's an RN. I have a wife that is an advocate. I have a wife that protected me so many different ways, went in the doctor's faces. You couldn't get anything past her because she's so medically trained she's worked in 45 years in hospitals and hospital services. So you couldn't get anything. She would call at 6 o'clock in the morning, change a shift to get the nurse and to get a hold of the doctor to find out how the evening went in regards to me. And of course, she would show up and confront the doctor nicely. Not everything was an argument. And thank God, it's 5 years later, and here I am, and I owe my life, to her and to the hospital. The doctor that did my surgery was in the wrong place at the right time. He wasn't supposed to be where he is, but he was the type of surgeon that I needed that they couldn't find, and he was right in front of them. He was right in front of them. So I was just lucky about that, all that happened.
Yeah, you're very fortunate.
Our role as advocates is not to treat the patient, and we don't get involved with really, knowing what it is that the patient needs. Our role is to know who are the right people, definitely that piece about knowing to call early in the morning or show up early in the morning. Many tricks of the trade, but we have
knowing what you're talking about doesn't hurt either.
So we have several programs that we run that are free at Pulse for family members or patients themselves who are interested in speaking to professionals, because we do have professionals who come to the programs. They can receive continuing education credits there, and through Academy that we have on the website.
Nice.
But also just the person who might be taking care of their parents, taking care of their husband or wife. And I run a program on the second Monday of the month, which is called People for Patient Safety. And we just share solutions. So we may bring up a topic, and then people will go around the Zoom room, and that I'll be able to do that nationally, where people will come in with a problem that they have. We discuss it with them. They can get some advice, but our role as an advocate is not to treat the patient, but to know who to bring in.
We're very careful to say that we don't actually advise on medical care. We share what has worked for us. So if you were in one of the rooms, Norman, it might be that your wife might talk about calling 6 o'clock in the morning at the change of shifts and how that worked for her and for you, and somebody else may never have thought of that, and might be saying, "Oh, what a great idea!"
That's why I said I was very fortunate that she was educated enough and knew the procedure of what's going on, and nobody necessarily has that, and that's why what you and Karen do is so that desperately important. And people don't even realize it. No matter how we exclaim it and we say it now, it doesn't affect them until it does.
Right.
And by that time it's way too late.
Right. Now you say, we have Eileen on the island, Karen, you're in Queens. Where do you provide your services? I heard Zoom, but is it nationwide? Is it worldwide? Where do you offer your services?
Right now, it's worldwide. Anyone who needs us. We've worked with people in Canada, and people in Africa used to come to our program. There's somebody in Mexico who's was interning for us. So we work with people anywhere because it's almost all on Zoom now. We have an event coming up on Long Island because that's where our hometown is, but the work that we do really is on Zoom, and I don't even want to say the phone anymore because there's so much that you can do on Zoom. We could share literature and information, and even go into small breakout rooms. In Karen's program, we go into breakout rooms if there's a large group of people, so people get to know each other. The same people come to our 3 programs a month, and they're getting to know each other, getting to build their support, becoming friendly. There's a woman.
I want you to hold these thoughts for 1 second. Because I want to take that further, and I have some other questions, and I'm sure Lisa does in regards to what you're talking about. But we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. My name is Norman Wasserman, and next to me is Lisa Rodino. Lisa and I host a TV podcast show called The Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man.
So what does the Business Power Hour do? We are here to talk about you and your business. We will put you on air for 1 hour to highlight your business in front of thousands of viewers worldwide. helping you generate more leads to grow your business.
And we do this every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here. What are you doing?
I'm keeping you on point. My name is Lisa Rodino. I am a commercial loan advisor and broker. Have you been finding that your business's cash flow is not where you need it to be? Have you found yourself taking from your personal accounts to meet your business's obligations? Have you found that those quick solutions of quick money are starting to get awfully expensive? My job is to find the right funding products for my clients so they can get back to working in their business and give me the task of finding the best options for their situation. Give us a call today to learn more. 516-268-0350.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man, and our guest, the president of Pulse Advocates, Eileen Clarina, and on the board, and secretary and on the board, Karen Isaacs. I want to pick up where we left off, but first, let me just mention a phone number. The number is 631-987-8477. 631-987-8477. If anybody has any questions, would like to call in, any thoughts, you feel free to do so, and we'll put you on the line with the two ladies. Okay, I heard about your program. I kind of I'm interested about possibly joining and becoming an advocate. I called you, or I called Karen. What do I do? How do I become an advocate? How do I get certified? Tell us the story, the procedure.
Well, I encourage people to come to our programs because they're free. There's 3 a month. You get to learn a little bit about what's out there and what people are doing. It could be, might want to be a billing advocate or insurance advocate or a bedside advocate or a patient safety advocate. It depends what you want to do. A lot of people come and because they've been taking care of a family member for a long time and they've got the skills now to navigate the system, and now they're interested in doing more. There is a board certification that people can get now. It means that you've taken a test and you've passed the test and you follow certain ethics and guideline, and you need to continue your continuing education. But that's not a priority. The priority is that you're interested in helping people and you want to help people. You're not going to get rich off this.
Is this a profession or is this a non-for-profit?
It is a profession. Well, as a nonprofit, we don't charge for our advocacy services at Pulse. If I'm going to work with somebody, it's going to be short term. I might ask somebody who's a professional like Karen to take over. She'll give some consulting and do some work with them, maybe, a short time. But then if they need long-term advocacy and they don't have the family members to help, they may have to hire someone. At Pulse, we're always looking for the family member and friends who already want to help. So if you are going in for surgery and you say, I have no one that can help me, and I need an advocate, I might say, do you have a job? Do you work? Are you involved with any organizations, any civic organizations? Do you have a religious faith community? And then be able to maybe pull those people together for the patient and build on their support. And a lot of people are very surprised with how many people want to help. They just didn't know the patient was willing to accept help and they didn't know what to do. So that's how we work at Pulse. We support the family, and we call it family-centered patient advocacy because we work with the entire family on that support. And we have quite a few very experienced advocates that will give their time for a certain amount of time and share their expertise for people who want to do it on their own.
That's it?
So
Yeah, come to our
That's it.
programs, free
Yeah.
programs, meet people
Yeah.
who are already doing it, and ask the questions. What do I do now? Because you're going to get a lot of different answers on how people get started and why they're doing what they're doing.
How do
But
you let me ask you a question. How do you
So-
retain
Nope.
how do you retain these people that have been a patient advocate for their family, and now how do you just convince them to stay and help the next person?
Well, in our case, because they believe in what we're doing, when they learn about what we're doing, I'm assuming that's how, Karen is a nationally known patient advocate. She's been doing this longer than anyone. She has the most experience. She's so well respected. I couldn't believe that she was willing to be part of Pulse, but she's the one who needs to answer that question.
Okay,
Why do
Karen,
people
go
stick
answer the
around?
question. How do you retain them?
So, uh, many people think that they want to help people because they've done it for one person. I did it for my mother,
Right.
and this sounds like something that I could do for other people, but they see it as a career path. A lot of nurses feel this way, social workers, people who are in the system, and have say that it has to be a better way. They see the problems in the system, and we have other organizations, the board certificate, the board who does the certifications. There are several other professional organizations that train and promote the advocates. However, I mentor many people who say that they want to be a patient advocate as a business. And what we found as advocates, there were actually 5 of us who were selected from one of the original organizations for private patient advocates to explain the realities of being in a business. And so a lot of people who came from a hospital setting where they had a job and they had a salary coming in, their question is, where do I get my patients from? Who's going to hire me? Where am I going to get paid? At this point, the industry is not about that. So there are people who will be hired right now. There are jobs out there that say, we're looking for somebody to be a patient advocate. I was just looking at it to see what they were offering. There's one that was a psychiatry specialty. They were looking for somebody with a psychology degree, and the salary was $20 an hour.
You're not going to get anyone interested in that.
And the job, the responsibilities were to really just to be a customer service person. And unfortunately, that's the role that the people have in the hospitals, where you can ask for a patient advocate in the hospital, and you're going to get somebody who can come and give you the telephone number of the different departments. Their role is not to, really work on how do I help this patient and how do I help this family. So unless the person really understands that they would have to run a business, then the business is not for them. But it doesn't mean that they shouldn't do this on a volunteer basis or on a one-on-one basis, just for some people that they like to help. I mean, there's so many people and many organizations, especially for what they call older orphan people who don't have any parents left. They never had any children. They're out there alone. And there are people who are just coming up saying, well, I'll take care of all the people in my building, or I'll take care of everybody in the NORC. So, the naturally occurring retirement communities. So there are people who are already doing these jobs and they love to do it. and they may be getting paid some other way. Like I was originally paid by getting doctors to advertise with me, and then I could offer my services for free to the patients. Um, that's how, people, how this industry or the concept, right now I say it's a concept. That's why, I'm using Aging Icon as the idea to say that, you're not an older adult. You're not your disease.
Let me ask a question to the two of you. What three things need to change to need to be fixed in the healthcare system that no one is addressing? Let's get independent answers from either one of you, if you could.
Oh, I could tell you exactly. I think that there needs to be ongoing. I think, first of all, there needs to be preparing to become a patient in high school, late level high school health classes, or 2 hours a year on preparing to be a patient. That's where it starts. I think there should be trainings for people before they enter the healthcare system to understand how the healthcare system works. There could be, and they can't be charged for this. It has to be available. You get somebody, a doctor goes into the senior residence and talks about diabetes, heart failure, chiropractic care, but all those things need to have medication safety and communication and proper diagnosis and ways of diagnosing. So every disease we approach, every disease, I believe there should be government funding going out to every disease to talk about safe care and preparing to become a patient. So if the government was giving money to the Diabetes Foundation, the Alzheimer's Foundation, all these other medical foundations, the cancer, some money should go for patient safety education for all their clients and members and patients that they serve, preparing to become a patient. You're diagnosed with cancer, you're going in with the same thing as you're diagnosed with diabetes or a broken leg or anything else, unprepared, and that doesn't even make sense.
Karen, what about you? Anything additional?
Yeah, I mean, just exactly what Eileen said, but even to the point of including financial, legal, as well as healthcare, because if you ask anyone, the doctor, if you ask the professionals who are talking to you as you're bringing your mother around for a tour of the assisted living center, the family will say, if this ever happens to me, just shoot me. But nobody is going to shoot them. They've got to realize that this is going to be the reality for all of us as we age. Something's going to be happening. And the planning of being prepared to be a patient, being prepared to be to understand that you have legal rights. You don't want to wind up in the position where a guardian is appointed for you, a stranger, who's usually an attorney, doesn't have any healthcare experience, is the one who's making decisions, maybe making those decisions on a financial basis. So that's been the hardest nut for all of us to crack, is how do we get people to plan when it's something that they really don't want to think about.
On top of that, the complexity of the healthcare system, insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. When somebody needs Medicaid because they don't have the funds, they don't have the support, and now they're forced to go into a system that they don't understand. Where do I start? This is where you get, I think, a lot of problems with people not understanding. I'm helping somebody now with the Medicare, their insurance, their Medicaid, all the different aspects of the healthcare system, and then getting a bill that they didn't expect to get. What do you do with that information? I think New York State has 62 counties. I think we need 62 patient navigators to help people when a phone call comes in. It could be a volunteer service.
Here's a thought, and I don't know if you've tried to do this. I just think it's pretty logical to do it.
I've written proposals for our county where I live, and it was completely blown off.
Well, you got to resubmit it again. But my question is, when somebody is going to nursing school, and part of their curriculum should be patient advocacy, do they incorporate that yet to get it started with the younger generation to make people aware?
Well, every nurse and every nurse will say, "I am the advocate. What are you doing here? We don't need you. I am the patient's advocate." And that's one of the reasons
But
when we
that's a
do our
problem
training.
because they're not.
Well, we never say, I will never go into a patient's room and say, "I'm their advocate. I'm their friend. I'm here to help." Because that is the response for the first 10 years that I would get is, "I'm their advocate." And the nurse wants to be the advocate. They want to be the person. In most cases, I can't ever answer for everybody, but nurses are doing the best they can. The doctors, let's say, are doing the best they can, but they also have maybe 10 other patients. They have other things to do.
And
They're
they're
not one.
overworked.
We
They're
are
overworked
one
and
on one.
understaffed.
If I am there for a patient, I am there for that patient. I have nobody else that I'm looking at, and I could focus in on that patient. That's what I'm there for. Whether I'm getting paid or not has nothing to do with payment. That's what I'm there for. And it's very hard to say what a nurse or doctor is supposed to do different than what they're doing
But I'm
because
talking
they
about
don't
just the
realize.
education. I'm
Well,
talking
they're
about.
taught that, but they're also taught the thousands of different medications and diseases and how to change a bedpan and everything else that goes with that
Well,
profession.
that's why they're a
They're not
nurse.
taught. Right. Well, that's what they do,
And it's
and God
also
bless
about
them.
I'm
it's
sorry.
also about, afterwards, the rest of your life. So because you leave the hospital, that doesn't mean, okay, you got up and started walking around and went back to your life. There are many aspects of the situation of, whether you need things to be fixed in the home, whether you need to have a ramp put in, or maybe you need to have, no, not just a hospital bed, but maybe, just little things. Maybe you shouldn't be running to go to the store if one of the things that happened to you is that you tripped on the way to the store and you fell. It doesn't mean that your life is over and you have to be immediately put into a nursing home. Just little things that might help. So it doesn't mean that you have to have an aid service. It could be that we have to help with finding a neighbor who uh, could do the shopping or could accompany you shopping. So there are so many aspects to advocacy for the patient. It's the whole life as opposed to just what the nurse is doing there at the bedside.
What's the difference
Right. And what
between between a caregiver and a patient advocate?
So
Unless you go ahead, Karen.
right, the difference between, because I have one line, I have one sentence for that. The difference between a care manager and a patient advocate is the care manager does what the doctor and the hospital system says to do. They will listen to what was the care plan that was described, and they will get the patient to comply. The patient advocate does what the patient wants. We speak to the patient, we get to understand what their wishes are, what their understanding is, what they want us to do, what they like to get out of the situation, and then we make it happen in a safe manner.
Well, I think when he's talking about a caregiver, not necessarily a hospital employee,
Correct.
which is the care manager. The care manager would work for the hospital, the health system, where a caregiver, which is what I am for a family member now. I am a full-time caregiver for a family member, and his patient advocate. So it's very hard to decide where one stops and one starts.
Right.
A caregiver might be more the home care, the cleaning, the cooking, the household chores, and helping to manage the medication, where a patient advocate is the one who steps in specifically with the relationship between the healthcare system, the medical professionals, and the patient. So I think that would be the difference.
So what advice would you give to a patient or their family, before they have to face the medical community? What would you suggest?
I think the very simple piece of that is the 5 steps. Prepare your list of medications, prepare your health history, your medical history, get your symptoms ready. I just went to my yearly checkup, and I remembered that I had hip pain, or I had this, or I had, the different things that I've had in the past year since I've been to my doctor. It's been a year. So I remembered those ailments and wrote them down, my medications and vitamins, because then, oops, no, I haven't been taking that. I forgot last year you told me to take vitamin D, and I forgot to take it for a year. So now I have to start either not taking it because you check my blood, or should I start taking it? So having these educated conversations, we need to be prepared. The healthcare proxy, make sure that's filled out. So having the preparation of being a prepared patient and having the conversation intelligently not only saves time, but really builds a respect between the patient and the healthcare team, that I respect your time. I am prepared. I'm not going in there and saying, don't you have a list of my medications from last time? I am doing my homework, and it makes it really helpful to get the right diagnosis, to get the right medication, to have a whole plan. And it shows a difference in the relationships I have with my healthcare team when I go in there prepared. I think it makes a difference. But truthfully, people aren't going to do it. And that's one of the problems, is that, if I fall down and broke my leg tomorrow, where is that list?
Karen,
do I know where that list is? And
somebody wanted to,
are we ready?
if somebody wanted to reach you, Karen, how do they get in touch with you?
They can reach me at agingicon.com.
Agingicon.com. Is there a phone number as well, or no?
Use mine if you want.
So they can leave a message at the Pulse main number. Okay.
516-579-4711. 516-579-4711, and just let us know it's for Karen.
I understand.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
I was going to ask, patient advocates, they don't make decisions for patients, do they?
They shouldn't. They're absolutely not supposed to. The idea is that a patient advocate is to help make sure that the patient has all their choices ready, has knowledge about what choices to make, and then steers them in the direction that is best for that patient and their family. So no, they are not to make decisions for patients. We are there to support them in their decision making. And remember, you can have a patient that wants surgery, and if I'm their advocate, I have no right to say they shouldn't get the surgery. But if the family member might be the one to say, don't get the surgery, I don't want you to get the surgery, that's where the advocate might come in and be the support for the whole family to make sure the patient gets what they want.
Now
and make sure they understand exactly what the steps are or what the outcome could be. You help to, I guess, unscramble the medical talk.
Yeah, I will never say to it, I'm very careful to never say, I'll explain to you what the doctor just said, because, the game telephone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the patient doesn't understand the doctor, I will ask the doctor to explain it again. Gotcha. And if they can't get it right the third time where the patient understands it, I'll ask him to go get somebody else to explain it so the patient understands it. Or listen to me, explain it to the patient, and tell me I got it right. But they've got to be in that room, because I don't want to be the one giving wrong information. And that's whether you're medically trained or not. You can have the wrong information. There's new stuff out all the time.
How do you keep your organization running financially?
Well, we have a fundraiser coming up September 10th.
Tell us about it.
In Belmore, Long Island, the Brokerage Comedy Club is it should be a wonderful, fun night. We've been doing this almost 10 years, I think.
I've been there a few times, as you know. It's really
a lot
great.
of fun. We'll be networking the first hour, so pulsecomedy.org is where all that information is. People can buy tickets. It's a closed event, a private event, so it will just be us there. We're hoping people will come and have a really good time.
You'll have well over 100 people.
Well, we hope so.
It's not 3 or 4 people.
No. It'll be. We're hoping for a great turnout. We have great raffles coming in. Great sponsors, which you are. Thank you, Norman, and
it's our pleasure.
Friend Entertainment. And we have raffle tickets for one of your shows coming in that people could get as a raffle. So thank you for that. So we want people to come to that. And again,
I was just going to ask, where are they going to be able to get the tickets?
Pulsecomedy.org is the website for the tickets. And of course, if they can't come and they want to just make a donation, at pulsecenterforpatientsafety.org.
Let's repeat that again, because there are some people who can't come that especially after this conversation, want to make a donation. So again, repeat nice and slowly how you can get their money.
Pulse, Pulsc, Center for FOR, patientsafety.org. And that's our website. And it's also Pulse CPSEA, which stands for Center for Patient Safety, Education and Advocacy.org. We'd love to get a donation. We will absolutely acknowledge the donation. And we want volunteers too to help us and come to our 3 programs a month. They could find on the website and share their experiences. We want the positive outcomes of a bad experience we could all learn from.
Gotcha. Now, Karen,
Excellent.
I know that you have to leave. Okay, it's getting close because you have another podcast or special situation. You want to tell everybody what you're going to be doing, and you can hold up that book again.
Oh, thank you. So this is the
Never give up.
night, the big night. We are already an international bestseller, and tonight we'll
Congratulations.
be celebrating.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I just want to say, we are now at Pulse, a national organization, international, but we also are looking for relationships with potential sponsors. We are. I'm going to be leaving right after Labor Day to go to a conference where for the first time, we will be handing out rack cards to talk about Pulse with representatives from the pharmaceutical industry. And so we are reaching out to people in the community, other businesses. So anyone that would like to have a speaker, would like to learn more about the programs, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, we thank Lisa and I thank you both very, very
Yes.
much. Very informative, as you always are. Eileen, you're a bomb, baby. You really are. You are it. You're one of the nicest people out there, but you're tough as nails.
A little bit.
And that's the beauty of you. You don't take it from nobody. I mean, and I love that with you. That is really, really good. And again, I wish you both a lot of success with Pulse as always, and I hope you have a very successful fundraiser. And good luck on your book, Karen. And
Yes.
that's it. So I thank you for being here. Just stay where you are for the time
And
being.
amazing how quickly the time went.
Just crazy.
Huh,
Karen, if you
Norman?
need to go, because I know you could be in a rush, do what you got to do. For those of you that follow us, you know that the last Tuesday of every month is what we call Give Back Tuesday, which is we have a charity that we will give an hour to for no charge, and they tell their story about who they are, what they are, and how they help people that need the help. Since we're doing 2 nights a week now, Thursday night, we're going to have another organization from Denver, Colorado, coming on the show with the president of the organization, Jeff Pearson, who Lisa and I know from our networking world. And he's got a real interesting story. And a lot of you are not going to know anything about it until you tune in on Thursday. So please do. And that's
Yes.
about it. Lisa?
And Eileen, you'd be interested in this one
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Well, Eileen,
Yeah.
Eileen was always notorious for making sure that every Tuesday evening she would be listening to the show with Darren and I. This is for
Yep.
many, and she used to critique every show.
Oh.
She's laughing.
Okay.
You shouldn't have done this, and you should have done that, and you should never mention this, and you should talk about. And very nicely, I would like to tell her, go stick it, but I never did. Because she
Yep.
really is meaningful, and she loves what it is that she does.
She only wants it to be better.
Exactly, and she was very fond of Darren and myself, so and hopefully she's still fond of Darren and me. So we thank you very, very much for being here, and I'm
Yes.
sure I'll be seeing you soon. I'm sure I'll talk to you even tomorrow. Thanks, Eileen, and good luck with everything going on. All right,
Thank you. Thank
just
you
hang
both.
out. Lisa, what a great
All
show
right.
tonight, huh? Educate. See,
Great
you didn't know
show.
all this stuff. I know
Yeah.
that you knew Eileen, but you didn't know the history.
Oh, the full
Yeah.
depth of it. No, I did not know all that. And man, you had 2 ladies on. What'd you need me for? I barely
the more
got
the
2
better. I
words in.
like ladies. So,
Yes.
okay. So
All right.
that's good. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the Business Power Hour, Lisa and the Music Man. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
The Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man is sponsored by Media Stations. Create your own media and have your own station. To get started with your own content, call or text 516-448-2066. That's Media Stations in Bohemia, New York.